All right, so today we're going over chapter 9, section 4, the tangent ratio. So we have the trigonometric ratio. A trigonometric ratio is a ratio of the length of two sides in a right triangle, and it's also used to find the measures of a side or an acute angle in all right triangles. So, just so you guys know, trigonometric ratios is the study of triangles, specifically of right triangles. So right now we're going over the tangent, but you guys also have different things. You have stuff like sine, cosine, and tangent, which is the one we're going over today. And all triangles will be right in this case, so it's important, all triangles. Right? Triangles. And all you need is to be given two pieces of information. You either need to be given one angle and one side, or you need to be given two sides. One or the other is enough information for you to solve the triangles. Now, again, this is two pieces of information. It can be one or the other. So here we have the tangent ratio. Now, if we let triangle ABC be a right triangle with an acute angle A, the tangent of angle A, written as tangent A, is defined as the following. Tangent A is the length of the opposite angle over the length of the adjacent leg to the angle. So in this case, it's BC over AC. Now, the tangent is always going to be opposite over adjacent. So in this case, based on angle A, our opposite is like A and our adjacent is like B. But remember, this is relative to what side you pick. If we're going based on the tangent of angle B, the opposite is actually B, and the adjacent is actually A. Now, the hypotenuse never changes. This is C. Since the tangent is always the opposite and adjacent, they're always going to be the legs. But again, this is relative to the position of the angle. So if it's angle A, again, across is A, adjacent is B. If it's angle B, across is B, and adjacent is A. So here they want you to express the ratios. Tangent R as a ratio and tangent S as a ratio. Let's start with R. Now remember, for tangent is always opposite over adjacent. So opposite, in this case, is 3 over adjacent. Adjacent is the 8. So R tangent R equals 3 over 8. Now for angle S, our opposite is 8 and our adjacent is 3. So the tangent S is 8 over 3. Here we have example 2. They want you to find tangent of 45, tangent of 36, tangent something equals 2.4751, and tangent of something equals 0.8098. So here you will need to start using a calculator. Now, I'm going to write a comment right here. Make sure the calculator is in degrees mode. If you don't know how to switch it to degree mode, please learn how to switch it. And learn how to use your calculator. That's why I'm very much encouraging you to please buy the calculator that we're allowing for this test, if you haven't done so already. So for tangent 45, you guys can click the tangent button and put in 45, and you should get an answer of 1. Please try it out. Now for tangent 36, we do the same thing. Type in tangent, put in 36, and we get, I'm going to round it to the nearest fourth place. So 0.7265. Now for when you don't know the angle, but they give you a number, there's a button for that. So for that, you have to use tangent to the -1, parentheses, you're going to plug in the number. So for this, you're going to have to use the shifter key. Now your shift key, it's also called second key depending on your calculator. So you should be able to do second, hit the tangent button so you get tangent and then a -1 open parentheses. You're going to plug in 2.4751, close the parentheses, and you should get 68 degrees. Now you're doing that again for the other one, tangent to the -1 power, 0.8098, close parentheses, and you should get 39 degrees. So if you're finding the angle, you have to use the second tangent button. If you're finding the ratio, but they'll give you a ratio in decimals, you're just clicking the tangent button. Now, in this case, if they give you a triangle, you guys can actually leave it as a fraction for the ratios. I would 100% be okay with it. Now, in order to find C and D, you are going to have to use a calculator. So, for tangent A, remember tangent is opposite over adjacent. So for A, our opposite is 2. Our adjacent is 7, so I can leave it as a fraction 2/7. And for B, our opposite is 7, and our adjacent is 2, so 7/2. Now, for angle A, our tangent is 2/7. You can put in your calculator tangent of -1 over 2/7, so second degree, tangent 2 divided by 7, close parentheses, and you're going to get a 15.9 degree angle. Now we're going to do the same thing for B. So tangent -1 for B is 7/2. So second degree, tangent 7 divided by 2, close parentheses. We get 74.1. Now it is very important that you round it off properly. These two should add to 90 degrees. If they don't add to 90 degrees, that means you round it wrong. So we're finding all the missing sides and angles. I'm going to write it in. So since we're finding all the missing sides and angles, I'm actually going to go ahead and solve for the side first. I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem. So I'm going to do 8 squared. Actually, I'm going to do it up here. 8 squared plus b squared equals 17 squared. That's going to be 64 plus b squared equals 285. I'm going to subtract 64 from both sides. That will leave me with 285 minus 64. Sorry guys, this is 289, not 285. I read it wrong. So 289 minus 64, we get 225. We take the square root, and we get that b is actually 15. Awesome. If you guys notice, this was one of the triples. If you didn't remember, I still wanted to show you how you can solve for it. Now let's find the angles. So let's do tangent of angle A is opposite over adjacent, so it's 8/15, so the number that we found. So we're going to plug in the tangent of -1 of 8/15, and that's going to give us 28.1. I'm rounding to the first degree. And tangent of B is going to be 15/8. So we can do tangent of 15/8. That's going to equal 61.9. Now, if you add these two, they add up to 90, so we know we're good. But if by any chance you guys didn't want to plug in the second tangent in your calculator, actually, after finding the first angle, you can do 90, let's say minus 28.1, and you're going to get 61.9. It's a good way of checking your work. Now, you don't have to plug in two tangents. You can just do that since you know the two angles have to add up to 90. I would consider using it as checking, or you can do one way and then check with the other. Either way, it's fine. Unless it specifically says solve it by using only the tangents, you guys can use either way. Again, this is just a way of checking. Doesn't hurt. I would consider it. So, for example 5, they wanted to find the value of x to the nearest tenth. Now, you can do that different ways, but I'm going to go ahead and do it based on the angle 24. So we know that tangent 24 is going to equal opposite, which is x, over adjacent, which is 20. Now, you can actually think of this as an equation. If I were to multiply the 20 on both sides times the whole thing, we actually end up with an equation of 20 times the tangent of 24 equals x. You can plug that into your calculator. So tangent 24, multiply all that by 20, and we get that x is actually 8.9. Now, if they were to ask you for the whole triangle, you can figure it out also by doing 90 minus 24. That's going to give us 66. So that's this angle. You can take the cosine, but we haven't gone over that, and do adjacent. You can either take the cosine of 24, or you can do the tangent of 66. We'll go over cosine later. So if you do the tangent of 66, the opposite over adjacent x. Now I'm going to rearrange this so I can solve for it. Multiply by x, multiply by x. So we get x tangent 66 equals 20. I'm going to divide by tangent 66, so I'm left with 20 divided by tangent 66. And if you were to plug that in to the calculator, you actually end up with the same number, 8.9. Just make sure you plug it in correctly. That's for the x. If you needed to solve for y, we would need different things because we're solving for the hypotenuse. When we go over sine and cosine, I will show you guys how to do it. But as of right now, let's just stick to tangent. For example 6, they want us to use a special right triangle to find the tangent of angle 60. Now, we know angle 60 is obviously it's a special right triangle. They just told us to use it. So we know this is going to be 60, this is going to be 30, just the way I'm drawing it, and 90. If we say a is 1, we can say this is root 3, this is 1 root 3, and 2 times 1 is 2. I'm just using easy numbers to make it easier. Now you can use bigger numbers, but it's still going to simplify to the same thing. So they want us to find the tangent of angle 60. That's going to be the opposite, so root 3 over 1. So this is going to be root 3. So tangent of angle 60 is just root 3. Sometimes you don't have to put it in the calculator. In this case, this is your answer. You don't have to put it in the calculator. If we were to actually just try it out in your calculator, plug in tangent of 60, you get 1.73. And if you take the square root of 3, you get 1.73. So you notice it's actually the same number. But sometimes you just don't have to plug in the calculator. And you can be left with the radical, which is going to be overall an easier number. So now we have angle of elevation. The angle that an upward line of sight makes with a horizontal line. So if you guys can think of this as, since it's a line of sight, you can think of a person based on the person's eye level. If it's going up, it's an angle of elevation, okay? Actually, I could have just drawn the little figure right next to it right here, but wanted to just put my point. That's how it's an easy way of remembering if it's an angle of elevation. Based on the eyesight of a person, if it goes up, it's elevation. So we're using the angle of elevation. You are measuring the height of a spruce tree and you stand 45 feet from the base of the tree. You measure the angle of elevation from the ground to the top of the tree to 59 degrees. Find the height h of the tree and the nearest foot. So, since you're 45 for the base, you're right here. And you measure the 45 angle. So we have 59 degree angle. And you can use a tangent because this is the opposite and this is adjacent. So remember, tangent is opposite of your adjacent. I know I've said that many times. Just doesn't hurt to repeat it. We have tangent of 59 equals opposite, so the h, over adjacent, which is the 45. Now, since we're solving for x, I'm going to go ahead and multiply by 45 on both sides. It's going to cancel this side. So we are left with 45 times tangent 59 equals h. So you're going to plug that into a calculator. So tangent 59. You're going to get a number. You're going to multiply that times 45. And you're going to get the height. It's going to be 74.89. Now, since they want us to the nearest foot, our height is actually 75 feet. We have to round in this case. Again, they just asked for it in the nearest foot. So, guys, just so you know, you have homework on Canvas. It's already open, but this is it for the notes. If no one has any questions, this would be it for today.